Hey, Jens, this is Rustin with Metalholic Magazine and Mojo Radio. How are you doing today?
Pretty okay. We're in Slovakia. We arrived here this morning while I was still asleep, and I guess we go on stage I actually don't know when we go on stage, but I should pay attention. But a couple of hours. I think. Yeah, we're in beautiful Hlohovec.
Hlohovec, Slovakia.
Spelled with HL in the beginning, so I don't know how to say it. Probably some other sound, but I've never been here before. Nice enough place. Food was pretty okay before.
You guys are out with Halloween right now?
Yeah, exactly. It's like co-headlining, but it's like I think they call it very special guest Stratovarius, and then Halloween is like the headliner. And we play 1 hour. What do you do with this other 23 hours? How to kill 23 hours?
How is Timo doing? I understand he was quite sick earlier this month.
Yeah, he's getting better day by day. It's like, of course, a very heavy burden that lies on his shoulders with his singing business, because it's a melodic power metal band, and of course, it's very much about the sung melodies. But we try to make it a little bit easier. We're playing a little bit more instrumental stuff, and and I think day by day he's like recapturing one note higher he can sing. Sometimes. So it was actually quite serious bug that he caught over Christmas. It was like some really bad luck. But, I mean, this happens with singers. It's like, it sort of counts with the territory in a way.
Glad to hear Timo's doing better. Obviously, the even bigger thing is, you guys found out earlier during the fall and winter that Jorg had cancer. How is he doing in his recovery from that? Obviously, you guys are out on the road.
Yeah, he's back. He came back, for the Paris gig, which was like on the 10th of January. It was like, great comeback. And, of course, we had to cancel because Timo was sick. So it's like, there must have been some bad stars in the sky when they planned this tour or something, because we've had some bad luck. But yeah, he's doing good, actually, I would say even. I think the prognosis is that he makes like full recovery. And then, of course, at some point in his life he will die, but it's not going to be from this, in all likelihood. But I think he took some radiotherapy, which is some special thing you can do with this type of cancer. You can eat this iodine pill.
Right.
That's one shot. And it's like a magic bullet type of drug, and it just hits the cells that it needs to hit. And he did 1 round of that, and I think they want him to do 1 round to be extra sure that they nuke everything out of there. And that will be in the next couple of weeks, and then they expect him to just lead a normal life after that. He has to take some thyroid hormone pills. He was a bit lucky that it was like this kind of type of cancer that wasn't so bad. That's like the good news.
Absolutely.
And what else was there? With this, there was something I wanted to say, but now I don't remember what it was. Okay.
Well, he's the drummer. I mean, he's really got to be in great physical shape to do this. I mean, he's had to go through this sort of, the chemotherapy and all that stuff, the radiation treatment, and he's still out there playing drums.
That's the thing. If he would have went through like chemotherapy or like this normal radiation where they have the big machine, I think then I don't think he would be here today. But I don't think he would be on the road. I would sort of advise him as a friend not to come back, to try to kick this cancer's ass. I think this is a little bit different treatment. It's like it doesn't weaken you in the same way that chemo would weaken you.
Gotcha.
You just basically take this 1 pill, and then you have to stay in this room for 1 week because you actually become radioactive. Your whole being becomes radioactive. You can't have visitors. But this special type of iodine, it just finds exactly the target cells that it needs to find. Pretty much like when you say magic bullet medicine, this would probably be exactly, the perfect word to use for that. It's because these cells are very interested in getting iodine, and then you just send them this wrong sort of poisonous iodine, and then they burn up from the inside, and you just nuke them exactly where they are. So I think the problem that he had in November was, of course, first of all, we didn't know what kind of cancer it was. We had to wait for this diagnosis, and we had to still make plans, because sure as hell, if the doctors would have said it was like this 4th very bad subtype and he only has like 10 months to live, of course he shouldn't go on the fucking road with Stratovarius. I mean, if you have 10 months, there's better places to be in than in Hlohovec. I mean, then of course he can be home with his family and just of course it's not a good position to be in, but we were like really worried. Of course, when you get this type of news, it's like really paralyzing a bit. But he was really insisting that we continue to do the tour. He was confident he was going to beat it. I don't know how he was confident, but he's German, and that's usually how they approach things. And then in the end, it turned out that we were very lucky. He was very lucky that it was treatable without any more fuss than this iodine pill. But right as he came out of surgery, he had lost a bit of blood in the surgery, and I don't think that would have been good to start rehearsing and then going on tour in the end of November. It was like way too soon.
Right.
But we left it up to him what he wanted to do.
Oh,
he really wanted back, so here he is.
And he's like family. I mean, you and Timo and he. I mean, there's been something of a revolving door in Stratovarius over the years, but the three of you have been in the band for 16 years now together, and the three of you still remain standing. So it has to be hard when you get news like that.
Yeah, of course. It really was. Like I said, there's been some really stressful times. I mean, I've been doing this long enough too. I mean, there's always stressful times, somehow in life. Same thing with the music business too. But yeah, of course, it was terrible. Well,
then you get news of this right on the heels of Ronnie James passing away from cancer, and you played with him years ago. You did the Lock Up the Wolves album, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So that had to be really scary.
Yeah, that was of course, I somehow, immediately when Jörg told about this thing, of course, I immediately went to this, Googling about it and stuff too. And of course, everybody was worried as hell, but, you had to sort of trust the doctors. And with Ronnie's case, I actually wasn't really, I think he kept, to the end, he kept the cards very close to his chest in a way with what was going on and stuff. And of course, that was terrible news as well. I don't know. It sucked. Fuck. What can you say?
Right.
Really good guy.
And,
if one of those guys, you would have thought he would go on until he was 90 or something. They would have to, shoot him, put him down like a dog so he doesn't sing anymore. It's you've done enough now. It was really.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a shock for a lot of people because he was so youthful and so much energy, even.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought that he sort of had it kicked, and that and meanwhile, Ozzy can put anything he wants into his body, and he'll go on forever.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you have any memory or anything of Ronnie that you want to share?
Just only good memories. I mean, well, I only spent a year in that band. It was unfortunately not longer than a year because after I joined. We made that one album and the one tour, and then I think Wendy talked him into going back with Black Sabbath, basically.
Right.
I think initially he was probably a little bit disappointed that his Lock Up the Wolves didn't sell as well as he thought, because he came from this, I don't know how to put it, but in the 80s, I mean, he went platinum in the States and stuff with those, records that he did.
Well, grunge music came along, and it was almost like cancer for heavy metal. So,
yeah, in a way. But I think, he had good hopes for this album. We claw our way back into the limelight, somehow. And it did okay, but it didn't go platinum, So I think maybe he was easy to convince. Okay, let's try something else and let's try back with Sabbath. They probably got a good deal, somehow. But I also remember that I think this was in '91 or something. He actually called me and asked me if I wanted to play with Sabbath. He was trying, sort of lobbying the other guys in the band for me to be in the band. And they already had somebody, and then, I flew out to LA and, stayed in his house, and we actually rehearsed even once. But then after the rehearsal, he was like, I don't even want you to join this pricks, why did Wendy talk me into this? Fuck, I'm regretting this. Fuck, I want to have my own band again. Fuck. But then he had already made the commitment to do this Sabbath stuff. And to try to, fix it. And I think they were, they had already recorded or something. I don't know. I think it was about touring. Or maybe they had started recording. I don't remember. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. He was the record wasn't even out yet, and he already wanted back, in his own band. And I think eventually, what's that called? This Dehumanizer or...
Dehumanizer, right.
Forget what. It's all good music. I think he ran hot and cold with this, Sabbath guys. A bit, Iomi and...
Yeah, well, I think during that entire decade there, it was really hard for everybody in metal because of, the whole grunge thing and the change in music.
Yeah, in a way.
But it's coming back around.
Yeah, I know, in some ways. It is, at least if you have the privilege to still be alive, then you can enjoy these years again, but I don't know why he stopped Sabbath again. I think they had some fight, and then of course they made this Heaven and Hell, and then they became friends again. And I think toward the end, he was like really close to Geezer, which I think is great. Like, because I always got like a good vibe from him, even though I don't know those guys really. But
and you guys also had to cancel the 70 tons of metal cruise. Was that due to Jorg's illness, or was that for another reason?
That was just actually because we did this Halloween thing. So I'm hoping we can play it next year. Like, I think we cancelled it with a please can we come back next year, because I would have loved us to do that. It's like sounded like a nice idea, both crews.
Yeah,
we had to cancel it, which is like something I hate to do anyway, but we had to cancel it to make it fit with this other plans. But we figured that this cruise, it has so many other ways to appeal to people buying tickets except for Stratovarius that probably it's not going to stand and fall with us. So we had to pull out, and with a begging that we can come back some other year. Like, and I think they sold it out. You know, I think it was like tremendous success. So I think us pulling out didn't harm this guy who put it together. Like, so I'm hoping we can come back. But yeah, we had to pull out just to do this. Like, so we instead of going to the Caribbean, we spent the day in Sofia, Bulgaria, like -5 degrees. Like, that's a little bit bitter, but what can you do?
Oh, that's sadly funny, but
yeah.
You've played with Yngwie Malmsteen back in the day. Obviously, we just talked. You played with Dio, and you played with so many other talented musicians. But people tend to overlook the keyboardist. And when I think of metal keyboardist, you're always the first name that pops into my head. You're sort of like the Yngwie Malmsteen or Michael Romeo of your instrument.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's probably because I've been doing it so long. I mean, when I started with this Yngwie, or actually the bands before the Yngwie era that I was in, everybody was like super suspicious of having keyboards in metal, and we would always get these like fan letters from people like, oh, you know, the band I played in before Yngwie, like we got this letter from some guy like, you'd be great if you didn't have this fucking organ shit, you know, like stupid keyboards don't belong in metal. So that's like, it's been a bit of an uphill battle since the early 80s, where you would have like this metal purists thinking that there shouldn't be any keyboards. But I guess I've been stuck in this battle for so long that people maybe remember that. I don't know. But, I mean, nowadays every other band has a keyboard player. Some of them have accordion players. Some of them have, you know, like, there's actually one sub-genre of metal called